Hello, my name is Matt Smith. I'm from the University of Portsmouth, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the practice that I do using puppetry with plastic waste and literally using plastic waste to make puppets. And it's something I've been doing in my practice for many years now, for at least 20 years. And I'm going to show you some examples, and as part of this video there will be some slides of some of the projects that I've done over the time as a way of introducing myself to this project, and to, before we meet next week, you can have a look at this video, or you can look back at this video and think about some of the things that I'm discussing and talking about, and look at some of the makes that I'm making. So at one point in the video I'm going to show you how to make these very simple plastic fish that can be animated and used to tell stories, and I've used these to tell stories about plastic waste, and I've used them on the streets. They can be very, very useful for all sorts of contexts. And also I've got recently, that I've just made, the fish was something that came out of a project a few years ago, but recently I made this whale that I was very pleased with, which was a slight departure from what I've usually made. And I think this whale's a lovely little model. I've not animated it, not used it in the show. I made it specifically the other day out of a bit of inspiration, a moment of inspiration, thinking about plastics and plastics waste. And that's just 2 bottles put together to make this shape. And as you can see, it's got I really like its tail, and the shape of the bottle already suggests some way of making, and that's often when I'm thinking creatively of a response to a material. I often look at the material, look at the potential of the material first to see what it can possibly be. So one material that I guess is everywhere is plastic bags, and as part of animation workshops, when I've taught puppetry, I've used plastic bags to demonstrate how simple puppets can be in terms of materials. I've just turned this into a puppet now by animating it, tying a knot in one end, and it becomes this quite strange creature. I'm not sure what kind of creature it is. It's definitely not human. It's definitely plastic, and by animating it in this simple way, in a quite obvious way, you can see how it can come to life and have a type of character, which in some senses is all the puppetry that I've done over the years is all about. It's about animating material objects in unusual ways. Another type of puppet that I made for a project in the summer, and I didn't finish it, but you can see very clearly that it's a clear plastic bottle, but it has this movable hinged mechanism, which means it can also talk, and it can do what I call lip syncing. So it can speak to the audience. So this is just I'm translating the information from my mouth into the puppet's mouth, and it's talking about whatever I'm talking about right now. And this is another form of puppetry, again all waste materials, no expensive materials, but most specifically there's plastic that is brought to life, and it's speaking to an audience about anything it wants to talk about, actually. And these puppets are really good, especially with younger groups, because they can talk and they can have things to say. So that's all the plastic puppets that I want to show you for now. I'm really looking forward to working with you on this project and collaborating and seeing what ideas you have and seeing how we can work together, and the discussions, because this is a wonderful way of working, finding creative methods to talk about things that are really important to people is something that I've done for many, many years now, and I find it very enriching and very exciting. So looking forward to meeting you. I'm going to show you some other elements now, including how to make the plastic fish. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how to make one of these plastic fish out of plastic waste, and I'll make it quite quickly and we'll just go through the whole process. And I'll use this one here as a reference point, so I'll keep looking at that one. You'll need some scissors and a plastic bottle, and I'm going to take the label off. And the first thing that I'm going to do is a fold, and the fold is the cut, and the fold is to make the tail of this fish. Cut in there, and if you fold the plastic, it's easier to cut and it's a lot safer to cut as well, as opposed to stabbing the plastic, which is not a good idea. So there you go. There's that bit of the tail, and then there's this bit of the tail. And I'm splitting this section. I'm keeping the structure, so the fish has the end of its body here. And then I'm splitting there, and then this is what I would call a reverse fold. So I'm reverse folding this bit of plastic to create the tail of the fish, like that. And I'm quite pleased with that shape. That's quite a good shape, and it also, because I've cut that way, it creates the body shape of the fish. But for me, there's not enough fins on this fish, so we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. We should fold here, cut there. Again, being careful to not lose too much material or cut away too much, because it needs to have a structure. I'm splitting that down the middle. There you go. And there's another couple of fins there. Front of this fish. And I think it needs a fin at the top. So I'm cutting there. Similar idea, again folding. And this has got some little bits of other elements going on here. So that makes that quite a nice fin at the top of the fish. I'm folding that around to make that more present, and it has a profile then, strong profile. But to really finish this fish off, fish really start to read as fish when you've got fins. So I'm folding again, I'm making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts, and then I'm simply cutting these out, these little holes here, these little slits, to give the sense of gills on this fish. Fold them out of the way, and then cut them off. And then obviously that is a lot stronger as a fish shape, but as a puppet, puppets are much greater if they have a kind of an idea of an eye. So I squeeze this into that part there, and then that red point there can become the eye of this puppet. And I just have a permanent marker that I can use to put a dot and a little circle to create that character of a puppet. It starts to come to life. And when I work with these in doing street puppetry and other kinds of puppetry, I'd make multiples of these. So we made hundreds of these, and lots of different people can make them, because the initial design is quite easy. And so you can have whole schools of fish if you put these on a stick or on a bit of bamboo, and you can take them on parades. They can be animated all kinds of ways, but also they can just be animated as things in themselves and just moving quite simply as fish shapes. So that's my plastic fish design.